Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Welcome to episode 25 of the series filtering out what the Prophet ﷺ never said. Someone asked, he said, question in regards to waswas, and where a man came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ about how he feels impure every time he comes to pray and was given advice. I don't quite get the story. I believe the hadith in reference is an authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim. It's authentic Sahih hadith that is established, where Uthman bin Abi al-As, this companion anhu, came to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah ﷺ, indeed the Shaitan came between me and my prayer and my recitation, trying to confuse me, trying to make it difficult or just cause confusion and stop me, standing in between me and my prayer and my recitation, just confusing, causing confusion, and basically whispering for him. So the Prophet ﷺ said, this is a shaitan called khanzab. This is a specific shaitan that comes in salah, tries to distract a person and tries to get in the way between them and their salah, and whispers and tries to confuse them during their recitation of the Quran. That shaitan specifically called khanzab. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, if you feel him, if you feel his presence, then seek refuge with Allah from him. So if you feel that shaitan coming and trying to whisper for you in your salah and trying to cause these issues, Prophet ﷺ, if you feel him, if you feel his presence of that shaitan, he gave him the following advice, what to do. He said, seek refuge with Allah from this shaitan. Seek refuge with Allah, and watfil, dry spit, not full spitting, dry spit to your left 3 times. Dry spit to your left 3 times. So 2 things: seek refuge with Allah from him, from the shaitan, and dry spit 3 times to your left. And so Uthman said, and so I did that, and so Allah took that away from me, took this shaitan and his whispering away from me. This is an authentically established hadith, as we mentioned, and as a note, we'll talk, since we're talking about the waswas, and someone before has asked about the waswas and how to deal with it. Shaitan comes and whispers, whether it's someone's prayer, whether thoughts about their loved ones, about their deen, doubts, whispers, all these type of things, about the aqidah, about all different aspects. It's important to understand few things about waswas. The first thing that we'll mention is an authentic hadith from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that a man came to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Ya Rasulullah, indeed one of us finds within himself something, some doubts or some whispers, to be to be a hamama is more beloved than to speak out with it, to say it out loud. To be reduced, to a coal, showing the severity of it. So showing that it's so hard or heavy for someone to even utter these doubts, these whispers that they have. It's so heavy. And a person doesn't feel at ease, feel easy to say it. It's not something that is taken lightly to even say them out loud. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah, alladhi radda kaydahu ila al-waswasa. All praise is due to Allah, the one who has limited the kaid, the evil of shaitan, his plotting and planning and evil of shaitan, to waswas, only to whispering. Alhamdulillah, Allah has limited the evil of shaitan and his plotting and planning and trying to misguide people only to whispering, to waswas. So shaitan cannot harm us. He doesn't have any power or authority over us except those who obey him and follow his whispering. He can only whisper. He can only call people and whisper and do waswas. The second hadith we'll mention, also an authentic hadith, from the Prophet ﷺ, that a group of people from the companions of the Prophet ﷺ came to him and asked him, indeed we find within ourselves ما يتعاظم أحدنا أن يتكلم به, what one of us finds too severe or serious, too big to even utter. So the Prophet ﷺ said, you have found that? So they said yes. So the Prophet ﷺ said, ذاك صريح الإيمان. Indeed, that is a clear sign of faith. It's a clear sign of faith, of Iman. Again, they're talking about waswasa, that they're getting these whispers that are too severe to even utter. And the Prophet ﷺ said, this is a clear sign of faith. Why? Because if we stop and think about it, Shaitan, his goal, his task is already achieved with the people who are misguided, people who are evil and wicked. So he's going to come to believers, to people who have Iman, who have faith, who are on the straight path. That's where he's going to come, to the straight path, to try and misguide people who are on the straight path away from the straight path of Allah. So he's going to come to believers who have Iman to try and do waswasa, try and whisper, try and put doubts, try and misguide them away from the path of Allah, and try to weaken their Iman, try to attack their Iman. So these whispers of Shaitan, in of themselves, they're not something good. That's not the point. But the point is that they are a clear sign of Iman, a clear sign of faith. Because when someone has Iman, Shaitan's going to come to them and try to whisper, try to do waswasa in order to attack them and misguide them and weaken their Iman. But that's a sign that they have, it's a clear sign that they have Iman, that they have faith. Otherwise, Shaitan wouldn't bother with them altogether. And the third one that we'll mention, the third hadith, which is also authentic, is a hadith when Iblis said, the Prophet ﷺ says that Iblis said, swore by Allah's Izzah, that he will keep on trying to misguide his servants, talking to Allah. I will keep on trying to misguide your servants as long as their souls are in their body. As long as their souls are in their souls are in their body. So Allah responded and swore by His Izzah and by His Jalal that He will continue to forgive them as long as they seek His forgiveness. Now, the point that I want to point out, of course, as long as people seek Allah's forgiveness, Allah will forgive them. So this is a very important point. But I want to point out to the other part as well, what Shaitan said, that he's going to keep trying to misguide people as long as their souls are in their body. Because sometimes people get frustrated, they get worn out. It's tiring to keep trying to fight off the whispers of Shaitan. But this is an important point that people need to keep in mind, that Shaitan is going to keep trying to misguide you and whisper to you and put doubts and trying to attack you from different sides in different ways, as long as your soul is in your body. You know, people sometimes want to hear that, no, there's, that's it, that's going to go away, or that's something that isn't going to, you can get rid of. It's true, you might be able to get rid of it, but Shaitan's going to keep on trying, as we see from the hadith that we initially mentioned, when the Prophet ﷺ told that companion what to do when this specific Shaitan comes to him in Salah, he said, I did that and Allah took those whispers, took that Shaitan away from me. So there are steps to be taken to fight that and remove that and minimize it at the very least, or get rid of it altogether. But the point is that Shaitan's going to keep on trying to come towards a person and try all kinds of stuff, left and right, front and back, all kinds of tactics, all kinds of tracks and trips, whispers, try to misguide someone and get them to fall into evil, put doubts in them, try to shake their Iman, all that, as long as their souls are in their body. So it's important for us never to let our guard down and to keep that in mind. And true relief and rest comes to a believer when they pass away. That's when they'll start reaping the reward of their belief in Allah, or their good deeds, and that on the Day of Judgment when they enter Jannah. And if this dunya was perfect, was free from all these things that make life difficult for us, such as the whispers of Shaitan, for example, that might take away the sweetness, like in this example, the sweetness of that person enjoying their salah. Shaitan coming with all these whispers, and person being able to enjoy salah and being able to focus on their salah and just have peace and tranquility in it. Shaitan coming with all these whispers, all these distractions. If that was the case, then the dunya wouldn't be the dunya, and Jannah is where we will find complete peace and tranquility. That doesn't mean we shouldn't try to achieve that and drive away the whispers of Shaitan in the dunya. But this is a constant battle. Shaitan is our enemy, so it's a constant war between us and Shaitan, and there's different battles. And we should strive hard to push and his waswas away and drive away Shaitan and his evil and wickedness and his whispers. And it's battles upon battles, and we could continue fighting and striving hard against the whispers of Shaitan, and make dua, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you. Seek refuge with Allah from Shaitan and his evil. And keep in mind that you might not always win every single battle. You might not find complete and full peace in this dunya until you meet your Lord, until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until you enter Jannah. And that is why it's Jannah. But at the same time, we should try our best, strive hard, and keep fighting at it. That is what is intended. That is the goal, is to keep fighting these whispers of Shaitan, keep trying to repel them, and keep going at it. At the very least, we'll be able to minimize it and potentially even get rid of them, or at least win some battles, and keep fighting against others so that Shaitan does not win. Shaitan wins when we give in to these whispers, and when we give up and we say, we're tired of this, that's it, I give in to them, or I give up. That's when Shaitan wins. Otherwise, as long as we're still pushing them away, we might not feel completely at peace, or our mind be free from these whispers. But that's good enough to be able to keep pushing them and fighting against them and driving them off and seeking refuge with Allah from Shaitan and his evil and his whispers, and try to keep repelling them away and trying to keep fighting them. That's in of itself is success. That in of itself, it does not give Shaitan his end goal, because his end goal of these whispers is not just to whisper and sure, that's making things difficult for you, or putting you in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, or just not at ease, not at peace, having to deal with these whispers. But that's not his end goal. His end goal is to misguide you altogether from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as long as we continue to strive and push these things away, and just at least fight and repel these whispers of Shaitan, then that in of itself is great, is good, and a huge step towards fighting Shaitan and repelling away his evil. And we should not give in to these whispers. That is when we would have lost, giving into the whispers. But just dealing with them and fighting with them and pushing them away, and you win one battle and Shaitan comes with another, you push it away. That's really the reality of life. That's the reality of this dunya, and that's why it's a test. And that's why Jannah is truly Jannah, where we find peace and tranquility, is perfect. It's Jannah. And that's what differentiates dunya from Jannah, and that's why Jannah is worth fighting for and working for. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullah khaira, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.